There are moments, profound and unsettling, when the world seems to tilt on its axis, and we are left grasping for purchase as gravity itself appears to betray us. It's a common fallacy to believe that life grants an easier path to some, that their calm demeanor in the face of chaos stems from an absence of struggle or a lesser capacity for pain. The truth, however, is far more complex, and often far more brutal. For many, the first tremor of pressure is enough to fracture their foundations. We've all witnessed it, perhaps even lived it. The subtle shift in a friend's gaze after a critical comment, the trembling hand of a colleague when a project veers off course, the sudden, paralyzing silence that descends upon a family after an unexpected loss. These aren't signs of weakness, not inherently, but rather indicators of an internal architecture built to bend and sometimes to break. Consider the all-too-familiar dance with negativity. A minor setback at work, a casual slight from a stranger, an email that goes unanswered. For most, these small ripples quickly become tidal waves of self-recrimination. The internal narrative is almost instantaneous, a cruel echo chamber of, "They don't respect me," or "I always mess things up," or, the most insidious of all, "This is happening because of me." The incident, no matter how trivial, is immediately internalized, twisted into a personal indictment. We watch as intelligent, capable individuals dismantle their own self-worth, piece by painful piece, over events that are situational, systemic, or entirely random. The outcome becomes identity, and a small failure, instead of being a data point, morphs into a devastating self-destruction. The job rejection isn't about fit, it's about being fundamentally inadequate. The criticism of an idea isn't about the idea, it's about a lack of intelligence. This immediate leap to personal blame is a heavy anchor, dragging us down into a self-made abyss, transforming external inconveniences into internal devastation. And then there's the paralysis of emotion. Imagine the sting of disappointment, the flush of embarrassment, the hollow ache of loss. These are universal experiences, parts of the human condition. But for a significant number, these powerful emotions don't just run their course, they seize control, bringing the entire machinery of daily life to a grinding halt. A heartbreak means weeks spent staring at walls, unable to answer calls, unwilling to perform basic tasks. A professional failure translates into an inability to face the office, a reluctance to try again, a complete shutdown of productivity. The two channels, feeling and functioning, become hopelessly entangled, an intricate knot of despair. When pain arrives, life stops. The grocery shopping remains undone. Emails pile up, appointments are missed. The world continues its relentless spin, but for the person caught in the emotional maelstrom, everything is static, heavy, and suffocating. The very act of existing becomes an unbearable burden, all because the internal process for managing sorrow lacks a separate conduit for continued action. The precipice of uncertainty looms large in our collective consciousness, a dark void into which our minds love to project the most terrifying scenarios. A vague rumor of corporate restructuring, a delayed test result, a friend's unreturned call, these moments of ambiguity become fertile ground for catastrophic thinking. What if this ruins everything? The mind screams, painting vivid pictures of destitution, loneliness, or irredeemable failure. What if I never recover? What if this is permanent? We construct elaborate nightmares from scant information, turning slight possibilities into ironclad prophecies of doom. This mental overreach, this insistence on operating only within imagined extremes, pulls us away from the available facts and traps us in a self-inflicted prison of fear. The potential for a negative outcome, no matter how remote, is magnified into an absolute certainty, stripping away any sense of peace or agency. The comfort of the present is sacrificed for the terror of a projected, often unrealistic future. And when the hits do come, as they inevitably will, the recovery process is often a slow, agonizing crawl. Resilience isn't just about never falling, it's about how quickly you get back up. But for many, the fall is not just a stumble, it's a dramatic spiral. A criticism from a superior isn't just a critique, it's an existential threat that triggers weeks of self-doubt, leading to withdrawal from projects, avoidance of colleagues, and a pervasive sense of inadequacy. The blow, instead of being analyzed for a lesson and recalibrated, initiates an identity collapse. The narrative shifts from "I made a mistake" to "I am a mistake." There's no quick extraction of lessons, no swift recalibration. Instead, there's lingering self-pity, a dramatic recounting of woes, and an extended period of internal turmoil that can derail progress for months, sometimes even years. The dramatic reaction overshadows any chance for healthy adaptation, trapping the individual in a cycle of repeated collapse. Social rejection, in its myriad forms, is one of humanity's oldest and most potent triggers. To be excluded, ignored, or openly criticized activates a primitive survival wiring within us. And for many, this experience reshapes their very sense of self. The colleague who doesn't invite you to lunch, the friend who grows distant, the online comment dismissing your opinion, these aren't just pieces of information. They become condemnation. I must be unlikable. I must be unworthy. My thoughts hold no value. The external disapproval isn't understood as subjective compatibility or contextual preference. It's internalized as an objective judgment of one's inherent worth. Rejection isn't simply an event, it's a redefinition. It shatters self-image, eroding confidence, and leading to an insidious belief that one is fundamentally flawed, incapable of belonging or being valued. The need for external validation becomes paramount, and its absence devastating. The relentless pressure of short-term pain often consumes all other perspectives. When gripped by immediate discomfort, a looming deadline, a financial crisis, a personal conflict, the ability to zoom out and see the larger picture vanishes. The urgent overshadows the important. Will this matter in a year? In 5 years? These questions become luxuries that a panicked mind cannot afford. Instead, the current moment of stress feels overwhelmingly permanent, changing not just the mood, but seeming to alter the entire trajectory of one's life. A rough week at work makes one question their entire career choice. A temporary financial setback makes one believe they'll never achieve security. This temporal myopia allows short-term emotions to dictate long-term decisions, leading to rash choices, profound regret, and a further descent into despair. The panic, unchecked by perspective, grows exponentially, swallowing all hope for a future beyond the immediate pain. And under the relentless siege of stress, most people instinctively reach for more noise. It's a perverse coping mechanism. The frantic scrolling through social media, the endless consumption of opinions from strangers, the constant seeking of outside commentary and validation. Instead of simplifying their environment to protect focus, they flood it, creating a cacophony that drowns out their own internal compass. They seek distractions that only amplify anxiety, comparing their current struggle to curated perfection online, or absorbing the collective anxieties of the digital world. This relentless input, instead of providing clarity or comfort, further fragments their attention, muddles their thoughts, and exacerbates their stress. The environment, instead of being a sanctuary, becomes another source of overwhelm, preventing any semblance of stability or recovery. This constant ingestion of external chaos during internal crisis ensures that the descent continues, unhindered and unchallenged, deeper into the very vulnerability it seeks to escape. The descent into vulnerability, fueled by uncontrolled external chaos, often feels like an inevitable freefall, but there is a different trajectory. While some buckle and others merely bend, a rare few possess an internal architecture that resists fragmentation. This isn't born from an absence of pain or a lack of feeling, quite the opposite. It's forged in the crucible of experience, a deliberate construction of an internal framework strong enough to hold when the world shakes. The path upwards, the true ascent from the overwhelming abyss, begins not with escaping the storm, but with fortifying the vessel. It's a shift from passive absorption to active, conscious resilience built upon a series of fundamental internal recalibrations that, once recognized, reveal the truly unshakable. The first, and perhaps most liberating, of these recalibrations is the refusal to personalize every negative event. Where most interpret setbacks as personal attacks, failures as reflections of inherent worthlessness, or challenges as specific judgments against them, they don't respect me. I always mess things up. This is happening because of me. The mentally robust engage a critical pause. Before internalizing, before allowing an external event to define their internal state, they interrogate. Is this purely situational? Is there a systemic issue at play? Or is this, simply put, a random occurrence, a statistical probability in a chaotic world? This analytical detachment prevents the swift, destructive leap from a small failure to a complete collapse of identity. It's the understanding that while something may have gone wrong, it doesn't automatically mean they are wrong. Their identity remains separate, intact, and protected from the collateral damage of external circumstances. Next, consider their remarkable capacity to stay functional even as they navigate a torrent of emotion. This isn't a repression of feeling, it's a sophisticated act of separation. Disappointment, embarrassment, grief, loss, these are felt deeply, authentically, but they do not become a paralyzing force. Instead, the emotionally robust individual creates two distinct channels within their internal world, one for feeling and another for functioning. The current of emotion flows, acknowledged and processed, without impeding the steady stream of responsibility. Life, in their experience, does not grind to a halt merely because something hurts. They continue to move, to act, to fulfill obligations, understanding that while pain may be a companion for a time, it is not a commander. This allows for a continuous forward momentum, preventing the stasis that often entrenches despair. The ascent continues with their unique approach to uncertainty. For many, the unknown is a terrifying blank canvas upon which the mind compulsively paints its most dreadful scenarios. What if this ruins everything? What if I never recover? What if this is permanent? This is the catastrophic imagination at work, projecting imagined extremes onto every ambiguity. But the mentally resilient limit this projection. They anchor themselves firmly in available facts, operating within the boundaries of what is known, rather than spiraling into hypothetical nightmares. They grasp a crucial distinction. Uncertainty is inherently uncomfortable, yes, but it is not automatically catastrophic. This clear-eyed view protects their stability, preventing the anxiety of the unknown from evolving into the panic of the inevitable. Perhaps one of the most visible markers of an unshakable mind is its astounding recovery speed. Resilience isn't about an immunity to falling. Everyone stumbles. Everyone feels the sting of discouragement. The difference lies in the duration of the fall. The mentally strong don't stay down. Their process is an expedited cycle of analysis, extracting lessons with a surgeon's precision, recalibrating their approach, and then, crucially, moving forward. There is no protracted dramatic spiral, no debilitating collapse of identity, just a fluid, almost instinctive adaptation. They view setbacks not as endpoints, but as data points, opportunities for refinement and a renewed trajectory, making their journey an ongoing testament to dynamic self-correction. Another significant step in this ascent involves navigating the deeply primal trigger of social rejection. To be excluded, ignored, or criticized can activate our most fundamental survival wiring, equating social ostracism with mortal threat. Yet, unshakable individuals possess an intrinsic understanding that separates external judgment from internal worth. They recognize that compatibility is selective, approval is subjective, and context matters immensely. Rejection, therefore, transforms from a personal condemnation into mere information. It is data about a particular fit, a preference, or a situational dynamic, rather than a definitive pronouncement on their inherent value. This detachment from the opinions of others protects their core identity, allowing them to remain self-defined, regardless of external validation or disapproval. The journey further empowers them with the ability to maintain a long-term perspective during moments of acute, short-term pain. When immediate emotions feel overwhelming, threatening to engulf everything, the mentally stable zoom out. They pose questions that transcend the present moment. Will this truly matter in a year? This temporal shift is a powerful deflator of intensity. By placing immediate distress within the vast canvas of their life's narrative, the urgency and magnitude of short-term discomfort significantly shrink. Perspective, they understand, is the most potent antidote to panic. And finally, directly countering the destructive cycle of external overwhelm, they master the art of controlling inputs during stress. Where many instinctively reach for more noise, more opinions, more social media, more external commentary, the mentally unshakable consciously reduce input. They simplify their environment, limiting exposure to unnecessary stimuli and rigorously protecting their focus. They know that resilience isn't solely an internal battle, it's also a meticulously designed environment. Their stability isn't just a trait, it's a protected state, an active defense against the very chaos that can derail others. They understand that under pressure, clarity is paramount, and clarity demands the disciplined pruning of distractions. This ascent, then, is not about becoming invulnerable or emotionless. It is about the profound capacity to remain structurally intact when the foundations of life are violently shaken. It is the ability to absorb stress without fragmentation, to feel deeply without losing one's internal compass, and to adapt gracefully without dramatic self-destructive reactions. The unshakable aren't untouched by the world's volatility. They are simply built to withstand it. They are the living testament to an internal architecture designed for endurance, not for escape. When you recognize these signals, the analytical pause before personalization, the functional flow through emotional pain, the grounded perspective amidst uncertainty, the swift recovery from setbacks, the self-definition against rejection, the long-term lens on short-term hurt, and the disciplined control of their external environment, you are witnessing true resilience. You are observing a mastery not of avoidance, but of engagement. A deep understanding that strength lies not in the absence of pressure, but in the unwavering integrity of one's internal design. In a world that promises nothing but ceaseless change and unpredictable upheaval, this structural stability isn't merely a desirable trait, it is unequivocally the most valuable strength of all. It is the anchor that holds steady, not by defying the storm, but by being built to weather it, allowing an ascent not just out of difficulty, but into a deeper, more profound sense of self-mastery. The open loop of seeking stability is closed not by finding a tranquil haven, but by becoming the haven itself.